Financial literacy, the forgotten freedom. America is a nation built on freedom. Our Constitution guarantees freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, and the right to bear arms. These freedoms shape our identity and are celebrated with pride. We even refer to this country as the land of the free. Yet, there is a contradiction we seldom acknowledge. While we declare freedom with our words, the daily financial reality across America suggests a different story. National studies show increasing stress, widespread debt, and millions of households struggling with financial insecurity. According to a 2025 survey by Bankrate, more than 43% of U.S. adults say money negatively impacts their mental health, at least occasionally, causing anxiety, loss of sleep, stress, or depression. This does not resemble a truly free society. Scripture reveals the deeper truth behind this burden. Proverbs 22:7 teaches that the borrower is slave to the lender. When a nation relies on borrowing, spending, and debt as a way of life, it becomes a nation where many people live under financial bondage rather than financial freedom. The Constitution promises liberty, but financial ignorance often creates the opposite. A society that does not understand money becomes dependent on lenders and vulnerable to consumer pressure. That is why financial literacy should be required in every school. A nation cannot call itself free if its people do not understand how to avoid financial bondage. True freedom requires wisdom, and that includes the ability to use money as a tool rather than becoming controlled by it. My main point, number one, debt harms mental and physical health. It's far more than the bank account. It affects peace of mind, mental clarity, and even physical health. Financial stress contributes significantly to anxiety, depression, and poor sleep. According to Bankrate's 2025 survey, money ranked as the top factor negatively impacting Americans' mental health more than politics, world events, or personal health issues. Proverbs 22:7 teaches that when individuals become borrowers, they often become controlled by lenders, payments, and obligations. This type of financial stress represents a form of bondage. If young people learned financial literacy early, they could avoid this emotional and physical toll. Understanding budgeting, saving, and debt principles would help them build a stable foundation before financial pressures begin to shape their lives. My point number two, consumerism confuses wants with needs. A significant cause of financial bondage is consumerism. Advertising promotes the idea that happiness and status come from purchasing the newest product or upgrading to the latest version. Influencers, market campaigns, and credit promotions encourage people to spend quickly and think later. Without financial literacy, many cannot distinguish true needs from manufactured wants. As a result, people often purchase items on impulse, take on debt without understanding interest, and become trapped in patterns driven by external pressure. My own travel experience helped me understand this more clearly. When I visited Egypt, I witnessed communities that had far fewer material possessions than any American neighborhoods. What stood out was not the lack of wealth, it was the presence of gratitude. People shared generously, expressed joy easily, and carried a calm trust their needs would be met. I am not suggesting that poverty is desirable or that anyone should lack essentials. I simply saw a reminder of a biblical truth. In Matthew chapter 6, Jesus tells us to look at the birds of the air and the lilies of the field. The birds do not store wealth and the lilies do not labor for their beauty, yet God cares for them. Jesus then asks, why would we believe that God will care for creation but not for us? This teaching is not about ignoring responsibility. It is about releasing fear and recognizing that our worth is not measured by material possessions. It is about seeing money as a tool rather than a master. When people understand stewardship and contentment, they are less vulnerable to marketing and more capable of making wise financial decisions. Financial literacy helps people break free from the pressure to buy what they do not need and from the debt that follows. Point number three, literacy equips a true freedom. Not all young people are taught budgeting, saving, or responsible spending at home. Many enter adulthood with little to no understanding of how money works. A required financial literacy class would provide every student, regardless of background, with the skills needed to navigate the financial world with wisdom. Research supports that financial literacy education has a measurable positive effect on financial health. A 2024 academic study titled Quantifying the Causal Effect of Financial Literacy Courses on Financial Health found that individuals who receive formal financial education score significantly better on a composite measure of financial health and distress, covering spending habits, debt management, confidence in managing money, and other financial behaviors. When young people learn about budgeting, debt management, savings, and financial planning, they are less likely to fall into harmful debt cycles. They become more confident, more stable, and better prepared for emergencies. From a Christian perspective, providing financial literacy is an act of stewardship and justice. It helps individuals honor God by managing resources wisely. It protects families from avoidable hardship. It prevents people from falling into the bondage that scripture warns us about. In conclusion, America remains proud of its freedoms, but financial freedom is one of the most essential freedoms we continue to overlook. Debt limits choices, steals peace, and creates mental and emotional strain. Without financial education, many people become vulnerable to consumerism and financial instability. In reality, we call this nation the land of the free. Many live as willful slaves, slaves to debt, consumerism, and cultural pressures that value spending over stewardship. True freedom comes from wisdom, and wisdom begins with understanding the tools that shape our lives. As Proverbs 4:7 teaches, in all thy getting, get an understanding. Financial literacy is one way to gain that understanding and make decisions grounded in knowledge rather than fear. By requiring financial literacy, we equip future generations to break the chains of debt and consumer pressure and to live as the truly free people God intends us to be. Financial literacy is not optional. It is essential to the freedom that our Constitution celebrates and that God calls us to in Scripture. As Christians, we take our cues not from culture, but from Scripture, grounding our decisions in wisdom and walking in true freedom. Thank you for listening.